just keep you from putting our kids in the ground. So we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday to you all. I hope you're staying in warm and dry, and I hope everybody has their water back. For those that don't know, we had a snowstorm here in the Richmond area, and it got really, really cold. And Richmond's 100-year-old water system failed in multiple ways from lack of maintenance. That's somebody pointed out they could spend money on renaming streets and buildings and
tearing down monuments.
statues.
Yeah.
but they didn't spend the money on redoing their water system. It seems to me a few years back they had the same thing happen with the sewer system when we got a heavy rain, but that's another story entirely.
Yeah, cities that
Anyway,
like gun control tend to fall into this kind of a category.
yes, they do. They do. So, welcome. And I see a lot of people letting us know where they were tuning in from in the chat and how much snow they got in this
Mm.
snowstorm. Um, we have tonight Philip Van Cleave and Jill McDaniel and Christy Horton. Christy is the person who, for the last several years, has been coordinating the team leaders for Lobby Day. So let us know in the chat how many of you are planning on coming to Lobby Day. I know the inauguration is the same day, and we certainly understand that a lot of people want to go to that. However, we have a lot more control over what happens on our state level, and letting our state legislature know where we stand and that we're not going to let them get away with passing all of that stuff that they tried to pass last year is really, really important.
Yeah,
So,
most of the gun control is at the state level and local
mhm,
level. We have a
mhm.
certain amount of federal, but it really doesn't affect us every day as much as abandoned parks in Fairfax or one gun a month or any of that baloney. So yeah, it's the state level where you really feel the pinch on gun control.
Yeah, Christy, you are here partially because you need more team leaders for Lobby Day. Is that right?
We we do. We only have about half of the team leaders that we need for Lobby Day. We need at least 10 to 15 more in order to keep the workload manageable for everybody. And what a team leader does, so it's a little bit deceptive in the name. We're not actually asking you to do any public speaking. We're not asking you, all we're asking you to do is take an assignment that I give you of 7 legislators, and I actually assign them based on their office numbers. So I'll try to give you either your delegate or your senator, and then some others whose offices are right next to theirs. And I'll ask you to make an appointment with their office for Lobby Day, and then I'll ask you to, along with other members, that was what we call a team, to actually attend those appointments and to talk to the legislators and to hand them a packet that we will give you on the morning of Lobby Day, and that packet will list all of the gun related bills that are in front of the General Assembly at that time, and it will tell them where VCDL stands on those bills. Which ones do we strongly support? Which ones do we strongly oppose? Which ones do we support? Which ones are we neutral on? Do we just oppose it but not strongly oppose it? And it'll explain why. And that helps a lot of our legislators, especially in their committees, that are reviewing these bills where they have to vote on them in committee or when they have to vote about them on the floor, to know where do we stand and how do these impact our right to keep and bear arms. So we're not actually asking you to do to like lead a team, and you don't have to give a speech. We do want you to make appointments so that the people who are with you who want to talk to the legislators can have a little bit of time to share with them how some of these bills affect them day to day. We need
So,
to know that real life human beings, this is a personal issue to us, not a political issue. This affects our
mhm.
lives, and we need to let them know that, and that we're regular people. Like we do exist. We are humans, and we're nice people.
So how do the team leaders form these teams, Christy?
So there's several ways the teams forms. The way that we've always done it in the past is you meet up the morning of Lobby Day. So as the buses arrive at 8 a.m., the team leaders will be at a designated location. So before we've done it at 9th and Bank Streets, but we now have a conference room in the basement of the Commonwealth Hotel, and also the tunnel into the Capitol is open again. The tunnel entrance is just across from the main entrance to the Commonwealth Hotel. It's just across the street. So there's plenty of room in there to meet up and form teams. As long as the team leaders let me know where they're going to be to start out their day or their appointments, I can tell folks as they're getting off the buses, like, here's team leader so-and-so has an appointment for your legislator. Here's where you can meet up with them. And chances are there'll be two different team leaders for one for your senator, one for your delegate. As long as the team leaders keep me posted on their appointment times, and they usually do, I'll have a full list of when the VCDL team is going to be meeting with your legislators throughout the day. Of course, individuals are also welcome to visit their legislators at their leisure, but we might need your help, folks. Pay attention to the social media pages, pay attention to the forums. Team leaders may ask you to contact your legislator and serve as a point of contact for our appointment time. Some legislators have already refused team leaders an appointment time unless we can name a specific constituent who's going to be with the team. That's already happened to us at least once this year. Others have told us that making an appointment as soon as possible is going to be very important. If you can't make it on lobby day, there's still a few things you can do to help us out. First, there is a link that Philip has put in the VCDL alert a couple of times now. And if you click on that link, there's a pre-written message that you can send to your delegate and your senator, letting them know, hey, I can't make it on lobby day, but the VCDL team represents me and I want you to meet with them in my stead. And in response to that message, some legislators have already written back and said, hey, that's great. We'll meet with them, but we need them to schedule an appointment. And so that's another way. If you can't make it on lobby day, participating virtually in committee meetings where they're voting on these bills is a huge influencer on our legislators. The next way that you can have a huge impact is contact your legislators as soon as possible and ask to schedule a virtual meeting with them. You can have a virtual 5-minute, 15-minute meeting with them. Tell them what you think of the bills that are in front of the General Assembly right now. And that is something you can do anytime. You don't have to wait for lobby day. You can do it after lobby day. You can do it at any point throughout the session. But that's another way that you can participate and be a part of this process, even if you can't travel on lobby day, or maybe you find yourself with an emergency situation on lobby day and you can't come in person.
Yeah, and what about if somebody doesn't want to be a team leader but would be willing to not only take our packet and
Yes.
hand it to their legislator, or maybe even go to a few legislators just on their own, make sure that all of those legislators get a packet without overloading our team leaders that we do have.
Right, and especially if we don't have enough team leaders to make sure that every legislator gets a visit. If you could commit to visiting your legislators and maybe a couple of them with offices nearby, handing them that VCDL packet and talking with them or their staff and letting them know, like, hey, I'd like to leave a message for my legislator or the other legislators for that matter. This is how these bills affect me, and this is what I need you to know. And folks, keep in mind that this year we have a little bit more influence because we've got elections coming up in November. Our General Assembly's up for election in November. So
Yes,
yeah, this
very
is
important.
an important one because some people will be tempted to waffle, even though they know they should support the right to keep and bear arms. Some of them will be tempted to waffle in order to get reelected. Others may side with us if enough of us show up and bombard them with messages and let them know that, hey, we're paying attention and we will be there to vote in November. They work for us, not the other way around. And also, if they refuse to meet with you, or if you make an appointment and they don't show up, or they don't keep their appointment, or they refuse to make an appointment, it's time. I have some pre-written format letters that I have sent to the editors of publications in some areas, just about things like that. It's like, hey, I wrote my congressman and he never responded. I wrote that I tried to schedule appointments with their office and they won't meet with me. And I'm their constituent. I vote for them. if your boss at work puts up with that kind of behavior, well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't call it work, but
Yeah. If you can shame them a little bit
yeah,
for doing something that's really unconscionable, because again, as Christy's been saying, we're their boss. I mean, they serve us. They're there to serve us. They're not there for any other reason. Government was created by the people and for the people to do the things that we need done as a country, to make sure that we've got the same currency in all the states, to make sure that the nation as a whole has a way to protect itself. All of that stuff. They were created to be our servant. And so many of them have forgotten this. And we need to remind them from time to time.
yeah.
Don't get too big for your britches.
Yeah. Also, it's
And
important to let your neighbors know, and writing letters to the editors of your local publications. That can help let your neighbors know that, hey, you need to pay attention because these people are refusing meetings with their own constituents. And sometimes even people who don't agree with us on the right to keep and bear arms will help us remove these people from office come election time, because they know that our senators and our delegates should be working for us, and they should be hearing us, and they should be meeting with us.
right. And the other thing is too, the entire House of Delegates is up for re-election in 2025. So there may be a tendency among some to be a little bit squishy because they don't want to do something that could be deemed controversial. So if enough people contact them about a subject, say to a rights, and said that if you are squishy on this, that's what we will consider to be controversial.
Yes.
And we're going to really reconsider whether or not we vote for you come November 2025. So that kind of communication goes a long way. Staying on top of them and letting them know, A, they have your support as long as they have your back, but B, if they don't take protecting your rights seriously, you're not going to take their campaign all that seriously come November.
All right, especially if there's a primary and you can knock them out with a primary.
Absolutely.
Primaries, again, one of those things that most people don't deal with. And that's where so much power is. There's so few people that show up for a primary that if you show up, your vote is worth way more than it is in the normal election. You can decide who is running in a particular party for a seat. And that means that's the weak spot where some people get elected year after year after year. It's because not enough people got together, assuming these aren't good people, and not enough voters got together to kick them out in a primary. And boy, if they know you're coming after them in a primary, it really gets their attention.
Yes. So I'm looking for the link for the VCDL Lobby Day flyer. Let me find that, and I'm going to put it in the comments because that's another thing that we really need help getting the word out. You can download the flyer whenever I find it here. I had it earlier and I lost it.
It's not just LDF, is it?
I'm sorry?
Is it LDF? I don't know. VCDL.org/LDF by any chance?
Let me look.
And when Pat sends us this link, some of the things that I know I've done in my area is I have sent information about Lobby Day to other conservative organizations in my area that they're not specific to the right to keep and bear arms, but a lot of their members would very much support us in what we do. And because we may have allies there, I went ahead and sent them information about Lobby Day and about the VCDL and what we do on Lobby Day, just to see if they would inform their members, to see if there are more people who might want to join us.
Right.
And that's something you can do too.
Okay, and I've got the link for the flyer. Do you have it, Pat?
I do.
Okay, all right. I'll let you post it then.
I just posted a link for the Lobby Day frequently asked questions, which we've been getting a lot of questions about that. And the link for the flyer is on there. But I will also post the link for the flyer directly. There it is. And
If
so
you if
that's
you
in the chat there.
if you post it enough, does that make it a frequent flyer? No.
It may. You're not even a dad and you have the dad jokes. I see
Yeah.
Jill with a drum roll, the bump ding. Yeah. Okay. I guess we should groan at that one, but uh, it is really important to make it to lobby day. This is like the kind of, as Bruce Jackson describes it, it's kind of like our Super Bowl or our prom or whatever. It's our big event every year. Now, it's not the end, it's just the beginning of the legislative session. And all during the session, there will be committee meetings and there will be action alerts that come out in the VA alert. So if you're not getting the VA alert, if you haven't received one in the last week, find out if they're going to your spam or whatever. You may have to give us a new email address because some email providers that are less than 2A friendly have been blocking our emails. So it's really important that you make sure now that you're getting those emails, because once the session starts, and we've got committee meetings coming this coming week, actually, so it's important to stay on top of that and be able to sign up to testify in meetings, which you can do virtually. Write your senators and delegates. You can, by the way, go online and leave comments that go to the entire committee. If you don't want to testify, you can leave a comment saying, I support this bill or I oppose this bill and why, and you can take that straight off of our legislative agenda that will be going up online very, very soon. I think we're just doing the final proofreading parts of that. So just pay attention and be active throughout the whole session.
Yeah, the alerts will be coming hot and heavy. In fact, I'll be drafting some to go out on Monday. We got a bunch of bills already in, and
Yeah, so
the legislative tracker is up.
right. And then if you're in the Richmond area, we're having a meeting this coming week on the 16th at a library in Chesterfield. So watch the VA alert about that as well. And if you're in the area and can attend Thursday evening, it starts at 5:30. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, because the library closes early, so it's 5:30 to 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Philip, you wanted to go over what bills we've seen so far, hit some of the highlights there?
Well, highlights or lowlights. I mean, some of these bills are just, again, we're getting, a bunch of bad bills again, which greatly outnumber the number of pro-gun bills. But to give you some idea, quickly to cover some of these, on the pro-gun side, Senator Sturdivant, who is my senator, has put in a bill that would lower the concealed handgun permit age from 21 to 18. And a lot of states are already doing this. There are 17 states that do that now, and two more that require you to be, instead of 18, they require you to be 19. But so all told, that's 19 states that are lower than Virginia. Also, we're seeing rulings of the courts saying that 18-year-olds, have the full rights that are protected by the Second Amendment. They can already own handguns, rifles, and shotguns. The only problem is at the federal level, they can't buy a handgun if you're under 21 directly from a dealer. I guess they didn't want you to go through a background check if you were under 21. So it was weird, but all this is probably going to change. But Senator Sturdivant put that in. Senator Diggs put in quite a few bills. Senator Diggs used to be Sheriff Diggs down in the York County, but now he's been a senator for a few years. He put in a bill that restricts how long the state police can take when issuing a non-resident permit. There was no limit. And we had people a few years ago waiting that paid $100 to get a non-resident permit, and they were waiting 8 months, 9 months. That was ridiculous. There was no other state that had an open-ended thing like that. Every other state that offers non-residents has a limit. And the biggest limit they had was 90, and one state had 14 days. Now, right now, the state police are doing a good job and they're cranking these things out within a few weeks. But if you don't, you should always put a limit like this on, especially on a government agency, because if you don't, they will run it out to the end. They'll run it out forever if they don't have something to make them do it quicker. So that's what that bill does. Senator Diggs also put in a bill where guns could not be banned in highway rest areas. In Virginia, you can't carry in a rest area on the highway because it's a state building. Well, we looked at that, and in the United States, there are only two other states besides Virginia that won't let you carry at a rest stop: Illinois and New York. So we're in that club. Thanks a lot. But that's it. All the rest of them say you can carry in a rest stop. So that's how asinine that one is.
Yeah,
Um,
even Maryland, California, and Hawaii allow carrying in
Hawaii,
rest areas.
Washington State, for crying
Yeah.
out loud, Oregon. I mean, Senator
Right.
Diggs also put in a bill that we're supporting, that for a repeat violent offender, somebody that's already been to prison, probably spent 5 years there, and they've come out and they're robbing another bank, they're raping somebody else, all that, using firearms to do this stuff. This would give them a mandatory 10 years in prison. And we all know if violent people like that, if predators are not walking around with the rest of us, they can't hurt us. But if you let them out early, then that's a problem. And one of the Democrat delegates, there was an article about this, and she says, well, but you can't rehabilitate somebody if you're giving them this mandatory 10 years. Excuse me, if this is the second or third time, they don't sound like they're rehabilitation material to me. Rehabilitation would have happened on the first time when they go, oh my God, I don't want my life to be like this. I don't want to cross the law. If they've done that and they've done it again, you're not going to rehabilitate them. The only thing you can do is lock them away. So we're
Somebody
supporting that
else
bill.
said in the committee meeting that they thought that just the threat of having any sentence at all was enough of a deterrent. And Philip and I looked at each other and said, what part of repeat offender did she not understand,
Yeah, I mean, they got 5 years the first time, and now, and again, if you were sticking your hand in the cookie jar and you knew that the worst you would get was a little tongue lashing or a belt, you might make different decisions there. It's crazy, but anyhow, he put in a bill to do that, so we're supporting that. Delegate Williams put in a bill to clarify that when you're renewing your concealed carry permit, you do not need to show proof of competency, especially that it was done in person. It doesn't matter. All you need is your existing permit, and that's it. No proof of anything. So the law really is that way, but some judges are misreading it. So we got a bill to help those judges along into getting the right answer. Delegate Wiley's got a bill in that lowers the maximum concealed handgun permit fee. I'm sorry, maximum concealed handgun permit fee from $50 to $25. And that bill, if nothing else, makes a great deal of sense because $25 used to go years ago, 10 years ago, used to go to the FBI for a fingerprint check on CHP applicants. We got rid of that. VCDL pushed and got that taken out of the law years ago. And at that time, we probably should have done this, and somehow it just didn't happen. But this is lowering it. That'll help us in our fight to get these fees as low as possible. This would chop all of the bad ones, all the $50 guys would be down to 25, and that's all they should need. That gives the sheriff $10 to do a background check that he can do in a couple minutes. So once in a blue moon, they got somebody they got to do some expensive thing on because they have a background hiccup. But that's rare, and overall it all averages out. So this would give the sheriff $10. This would give the circuit court clerk $10 and $5 to the state police for their running the background check on their database. So that was Delegate Wiley that put that one in. Delegate Ballard added that if you're buying a gun safe, you don't have to buy a gun safe from an FFL. You can buy from any retailer and you'll get that tax write-off. So he's got that in there. Delegate Obenshain also has getting the repeat violent offenders up to 10-year minimum. That's one. Delegate Garrett has put in no financial institution shall discriminate against gun owners or gun manufacturers or gun dealers. Because we're seeing the other side pushing for, let's get the banks not to give them any money, and that way we'll come around from behind and try to knock some gun control out there and destroy gun dealers and stuff. Delegate Zaire put in something that if you get a new driver's license, you move to Virginia, or you're getting a replacement license, that you don't have to wait 30 days before you can buy a gun using it. As soon as you got the license, you can go to a gun dealer and buy a gun. That law went in originally back when we didn't have the powerful computer systems and everything all digitized the way we do now. Delegate Freitas has put in permitless carry again this year. He's always hits hard on that. We're not calling it constitutional carry anymore. The gun organizations have kind of agreed maybe we go permitless carry, because constitutional carry would say, oh, not only do we not need a permit, but we can carry everywhere we go with just maybe two exceptions, courthouses and, what else would be the other one? Probably courthouses being the main one. Maybe sensitive government buildings. But so this isn't constitutional carry, it's permitless carry. And Delegate Griffith, again, Delegate Griffin has put in rest stops again, letting us carry there, and he's added ABC stores. Because there's no way an ABC store is a sensitive government building. They're a retailer just like any other store. I don't know why we still have this in Virginia. When I first moved here, I asked my wife, I said, well, is there a government store that sells pantyhose? I mean, why is the government, I came from Texas and Illinois before that. The government didn't sell alcohol.
Because sins like alcohol and gambling are not sins if the government does it. It's
of course,
private people do it.
Exactly, especially gambling.
Just like with the rest areas, I did a quick research. I didn't dig terribly deep, but I could only find one other state in the entire country that bans carry in liquor stores. One.
Yeah, it's just a store. It's all it is. Then finally, on the pro-gun side, Delegate Oates has put in one that basically says that if you do a live Zoom like we're doing now, this kind of a meeting where all of us on here are interacting, we're having to interact with you through the chat, but a Zoom meeting where a teacher teaching a concealed handgun permit class can interact with all of the students. So they can ask questions dynamically. He can show them stuff. He can watch them do things. Then we want that to be allowed. Right now, you can't do any kind of computer training. Well, this isn't the old-fashioned style where all you do is a computer gives you a list of questions, or there's no human involved. This would put a human teacher, basically a live setting, but done over the computer. Heck, they run government meetings this way. There's really no reason you can't have education. So those are bills that we currently strongly support. There's a couple of support, which is a level weaker. And those one of them deals with, both of them deal with school security officers. These bills would make it so it's easier for a school to get a security officer. They don't have to have certain criteria, which are to me stupid criteria. Those were taken off, so it'll make it easier for schools to have armed security. So those we support. It's just on the edge of being related to gun stuff. Now, the gun control side, here we go again. And some of this stuff, I'm telling you, my hair wasn't this color before I read these bills. It's infuriating. Some of this stuff just absolutely infuriating. Somebody sits around and dreams this crap up, knowing what the Constitution says, knowing what the Supreme Court has said, and just knowing what's morally right. Senator Favola, this one is not as egregious as some of them, but it's basically saying if you have a protective order, and you turn your guns over to somebody, they can't live in your house and they have to be 21 years or older. Well, first of all, 18-year-olds are allowed to have all the different types of guns. So there's no reason an 18-year-old, that you choose could do it. And the person can't live with you. So if you're sharing a gun, you and your wife have a shared shotgun, well, they're going to take that shotgun away. Then they're punishing her. She's not the one that had the protective order. It was, in this case, the husband in this example. It could be the other way around. Um, so anyhow, that's what that bill does. Then Senator Salim, again, apparently no fan of the Constitution, wants to take away the right to buy an assault firearm from anyone under 21. The Constitution protects our right to. You can call it a modern hunting rifle. You can call it a military style rifle. I don't care. The Second Amendment protects both. Really, military style is the primary thing, believe it or not. So that's not going to hold water. We've had judges saying you cannot tell somebody 18 years old they can't own one of these constitutionally protected firearms. Then we got bills to ban semi-automatic rifle. They're trying to ban assault weapons, but Senator Eben put in a bill that expands all the parameters. It just makes it easier for a gun to fall into this net of being a assault firearm. So he's pushing that stuff through. He's also trying to make unfinished firearms illegal unless you get a serial number on them. So if you own one of these unserialized homemade firearms, you got to get a serial number, or he'll do it. Now, Senator Perry put in a bill that adds a dating relationship as a misdemeanor of battery if you have a dating relationship with somebody. In fact, the person doesn't even have to live with you. You have a dating relationship with somebody you're not even living together. And this really expands and reaches out. Because we know they were going to do this kind of stuff. It reaches out to grab more conditions to take your guns away. That's never going to end. They're going to keep coming. They're going to keep expanding red flag and everything else to where pretty soon nobody can have a gun because you fall into one of a million different traps that they've set. Senator Perry also put in something to get rid of a trigger activator. That will probably even take out a binary trigger, which right now the code doesn't.
So are they going to cut off everybody's fingers?
Oh, I know. That's one of my points. I've got a video of me taking a regular AK-47.
Right there.
There it is. I've got a video of me taking an AK-47 with my bare hands and bump firing it, and it was zipping right along. It's all. But again, we're talking logic and truth, and that doesn't seem to be real popular with these people. Senator Slim put in a 5-day waiting period. If you remember, to buy a gun, if you remember when they went with this background check system, the instant check, that's how it was sold to the public. Look, guys, no big deal. You'll be able to walk out with the gun within, an extra few minutes. You'll just have to wait for the background check. No big deal. You go in, buy your gun. 5 minutes later, you're out and gone. Well, here we go. Now we're coming back and saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that anymore. We want a 5-day waiting period. Why even have a computer? I mean, system if you're going to do a 5-day waiting period. So, but here we go again. So they want to do that, breaking basically a promise to everybody. Senator William Graves wants to expand the distance you have to keep there's a gun-free zone around a polling area from 40 feet out to 150 feet. People aren't going to know where some of these areas are because there's all kinds of things that they put under polling. And so you could easily get trapped into that and find yourself on the wrong side of the law. This one really got to me. Senator Carol Foy put in something that requires you to get to get a permit to buy a firearm, any firearm, shotgun, handgun, rifle. You got to get a permit under her system, and that permit's good for 5 years. To get the permit, you got to be fingerprinted. So you got to go to your local police department and get fingerprinted. You have to have had training within the previous 2 years of applying for your 5-year permit. So every 5 years, you've got to get training again, over and over again. If you're under 21, don't get a permit. So now to under 21 can't buy rifles, shotguns, or handguns. They're completely out of it under this bill.
The FOID system.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
like Illinois. I mean,
But
like what they do with the FOID cards and stuff
yeah,
like
the
that.
firearm owner ID. But this goes a step further. This part really frosted my cake. The applicant, well, first of all, this part isn't as important. You have to answer a bunch of questions, basically the same stuff you'd answer on a form 4470, 4473. But the part that got me was the bill adds a new disqualification for purchasing and possessing a firearm. A person who is, quote, lacking in essential character or temperament necessary to be entrusted with a firearm can be denied. Who gets to decide that? Who gets to decide if somebody has the temperament? No, I kid you not. I saw that and I just saw red. It's like, you have got to be kidding me. Here's what I wrote at the end of this. I said, well, Stalin and other tyrants would love this bill.
Yes.
It is not something that is acceptable in the United States or in the Commonwealth.
What?
So that was Senator Williams. That was Carol Foy. Then Williams Graves put in another bill that takes away guns in hospitals. You can't have a gun there. So if you're visiting somebody and you're at night in some of these hospitals, no, people have been carrying good people have been carrying concealed, and it's not been a problem. Boy Scout wants you to lock your guns up if you're home and there's a minor in the home or a prohibited person. The gun has got to be unloaded when it's locked up. Oh, but if you want a loaded gun, then you must have a biometric safe. Well, first of all, biometric safes are usually more expensive than regular safes. Maybe Senator Boysko can afford to get whatever safe she wants, but some people out there are poor, and that kind of expense to have to get a biometric to protect themselves is a tough expense. I could do it, but there are people out there that cannot do that, and it's not fair to them. Also, having had biometric safes, I can tell you that sometimes it doesn't read your fingerprint right 2, 3, 4 times. So your doors, even your phone, somebody's kicking your door down.
Hold on.
So, hold on. Well, hold on, doggone it. And so Senator Deeds wants to go back to banning any assault firearm, and again he expands the definition a little bit. Made after July of this year will be illegal. Period. You can own a gun made before July 1 of this year, but you cannot own one made after. Same thing with magazines that hold more than the number of fingers on your hands total together. If it holds more than 10 rounds, you can't have it if it was made after July 1 of 2025. Why? You know how many people are killed with these so-called assault rifles? It's a tiny number, way less than people that are stabbed and beat to death with hands and feet. But oh no, the world's ending and we've got to do something about these guns that are rarely used in crime. They're too bulky for most crimes. Criminals generally don't walk around with these things. They're too big.
They don't go with the black mask and
yeah.
I haven't seen any laws to outlaw trucks or to outlaw cars or even to outlaw trucks or cars in crowds of people or sensitive areas like that. I mean,
salt knives.
Yeah. So we've seen just in the last few weeks, we've seen 2 attacks where somebody drove a vehicle into a crowd and murdered people and injured several more. And I didn't see the outrage from that. I mean, I saw some outrage, but I didn't see the cry for, oh, we've got to take action. We've got to ban this. We've got to ban that. So that is very telling about what motivation is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and you can kill way more people and hurt way more people with a car doing what they did, plowing into a crowd, than you could with a rifle. That would have taken a long time with an AR to rack up that body count. And he did it, bam, like that, just within a split second. So, but yeah, there's no outcry because it's all hypocrisy. It's all about disarming us. That's it. That's all that matters to these people. They don't really care about the lives that are lost.
No.
They care about disarming us because it makes them feel better. It puts them in some nirvana that they think exists out there. And we just can't let them live in that fantasy world. Senator Deeds also wants to make it technically illegal to carry in a higher ed school. Right now, it's not illegal; it'd be trespass. They'd have to ask you to leave and all that. Or if you're a student, they could kick you out of school or fire you if you're an employee. He wants to make it so that it would be actually illegal, and you could only have guns in the buildings if you were part of some course or something, mostly related to law enforcement or whatever.
Yep.
We
And
have.
Christy
Go ahead.
just put something in the chat about the. Go ahead, Christy, and just say it.
Along the lines of, people driving cars and trucks into crowds. Like, I'm seeing some bills at federal and state level. And we saw some bills last year that proposed to allow people to sue manufacturers when somebody abuses a firearm.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's suing the vehicle manufacturers every time somebody drives a car or a truck into a crowd.
No,
So that's stupid.
and that bill is back. I mean, yeah, it's funny that you said that. Your timing was perfect. That was the next bill I was going to talk about. Good old Delegate Helmer, who likes to talk about his military service. Fine, but he should have learned to protect our rights. That's what he's fighting for. But he touts his military service. He also touts gun control. The
He
two
also
don't
should
make
have learned.
sense.
He
should have
also
learned.
should have learned the difference between an AR-15 and an M16. But
Yeah, I don't know what he carried in the military. He claims it was an M16. I don't know.
Yeah.
But thank him for his service. But how did you miss the fact that you're supposed to have been protecting our Constitution, not destroying it? You
Right.
got that all wrong. Delegate Laufer wants to create a $500 civil penalty and subject your car to towing if a handgun is visible in the car that's parked. And they could tow your car. So they want to take a car with a gun in it, and they want some tow truck company to drive away with the car and a gun. Okay, what could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
What could go wrong? So she wants that. We have, you see how bad this stuff is. It just goes on and on. They want to create a Virginia Center for Firearm Violence. Again, do they want to solve the general problem of violence? Why do people kill each other, whether it's with knives, guns, automobiles? No. Don't care about that. Half of the deaths are not caused by firearms. We just want to do firearms, and we know why. But there it is. Let's see. Delegate Helmer also wants to make it again so that it's going to be hard for us to get reciprocity with other states. So if you enjoy carrying outside of Virginia, Delegate Helmer wants to fix that problem for you, where you won't be able to carry outside of Virginia in a lot of places, because he wants to make it hard for us. Right now, we recognize all permits. He doesn't want that. He wants to make it this long, drawn-out, arbitrary thing where their laws kind of have to match ours. Kind of have to. Well, who really gets to decide accurately if these laws match? It sounds pretty arbitrary to me, and that's what he wants again. We have, this is going on and on. I mean, for the pro-gun bills, there are 3 times as many gun control bills, and some of these are duplicates. They do that quite a bit.
Wash and repeat. It's
Yeah.
like
And the governor vetoed a lot of this stuff, and he said he's going to veto stuff. If they give him stuff he's already vetoed, he's going to veto it again. He said that, but they're not listening. But I'm not counting on that, and I don't want to have to count on the governor to do all these vetoes. We need to do everything we can to stop this stuff, and to get the General Assembly not to pass this stuff on through. That's most of the gun control bills. It shows you, and that's not, there's still bills coming in, so some more stuff could be added to this. But it shows you what we're up against, what they want to take away from us, and they're coming from all different angles. Right. I don't think the governor's.
the legislative tracker in the chat. So that is updated as the bills come in. It has the link to the legislative information system so that you can go directly to the bill. It has our synopsis of why we support it or why we oppose it, and it has links where you can follow to see it's updated as it's assigned to committees, as the committee meetings are held, when the dates are, links to sign up to testify, whether you testify virtually or just send in your comments online. You can comment in one form and it goes to the entire committee, so you can make your voice heard that way. The other thing is that the legislative agenda, as soon as it's done, will be online. The packet that we'll be handing out to the senators and delegates. And as Philip said, bills are still coming in, so that is in flux. But the VCDL-lis.org is updated in real time. So check back to that daily. Weekly at the biggest distance, but daily is better. We do have buses coming to Lobby Day. Right now, there is only the sponsor on the Tidewater bus. So if you're in the Tidewater area and you want a bus to Lobby Day, jump online and reserve your seat, because if we don't get reservations on that bus by what is today, the 12th, by probably the 15th or 16th, we're going to have to cancel that bus, because we can't spend $4,000 on a bus for nobody to be using it. So that money is far better spent on protecting your rights. So getting you to Lobby Day is important. We do have a bus coming from Tidewater, one from Northern Virginia, which starts up at where the Chantilly Gun Show is, and then goes down through Fairfax and down 95, stopping in Springfield and Fredericksburg. There's one coming from Roanoke to Lynchburg to Charlottesville and in, and then there's one that goes from Norfolk, Newport News, Chesapeake, and up 64. So jump on that if you need a ride in. If you're here the night before and you want to attend the Lobby Day dinner, we will be having dinner at the same place that we had last year. Please make your reservations by Thursday this week, because we need to let the restaurant know how many people to expect.
Yeah, Pat, I didn't put how they can RSVP. So I need to get an alert out with that. A lot of people we've told about it. Just RSVP to me, president at VCDL.org, and I'll keep a account of how many people are coming. So if you're going, just send an email.
There's also a form online. If you go to vcdl.org/lobby day travel, you'll find the bus reservations. You'll find carpools if you want to form a carpool instead of busing. There's hotel information. There's parking information. There's the sign up form for the Lobby Day dinner. All of that is on that travel page. So, and again, if you can take a team lead, or if you're coming and can just commit to talking to your senator and your delegate, since we're so short on team leaders, I put that in the chat. I'll put it in again. Let's see. Oh, the gun check. So if you're coming on a bus, you can be armed. All firearms must be holstered and or cased for safety reasons. If you are going in and lobbying, there is still that law that is in effect. It's not an executive order. It is actually a law. I think the executive order is still active, but the law would supersede it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get Youngkin to cancel the EO, but it won't cancel the ban because the law is still in effect. But anyway, there is a gun check bus. And the link for that is on the Lobby Day travel page as well. And it is also on the Lobby Day schedule page. And then, Philip, you wanted to talk about the Lobby Day speakers.
Yeah, we have several speakers lined up. We've got a few more I'm working on, and hopefully I'll know something soon. on those. We have basically just a variety. Um, some of the speakers I wanted to get, unfortunately, we've got the SHOT Show going on at the same time. Now, why
Mhm.
SHOT Show didn't postpone SHOT Show because of the VCDL Lobby Day, I'll never know. But
Yeah, you would think, but
yeah, I mean, geez. So don't they have their priorities? But anyhow, so yeah, a lot of people I was hoping to get are going to be at SHOT. Last year, in 2024, the SHOT Show had moved out a little bit later, and it worked out a lot better. We had got some people here for that. So so we'll have more updates on who the speakers are going to be. We've got some of the speakers posted on the website right now, but there's some more that I'm working on. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, Trump is very much interested in abolishing the ATF, and there is a bill now to do that. And Dettelbach has resigned, effectively coming up in a little bit. He'll be out of there, and he was one of the worst that we've had. Um, so he wanted to be out of there before Trump had a chance to fire him because he knew he was going to be fired.
Yeah.
And so he took that little thing away from Trump. But we had a situation in Maryland, I guess a month or two ago, where a gun owner and an activist, his house was raided in the middle of the night, and ATF pointed guns at everybody, kids, the adults. Everybody came out with their hands up. They were pointing guns at children.
hey, they didn't
And
shoot his dog.
no, they didn't. He didn't have a dog, did he?
I
They
don't think
might have.
so.
Yeah, if he had a dog, they threw flashbangs in the house.
Uh-huh.
Now I don't know how much you know about flashbangs, but they can start fires. They have had houses
Mhm.
burned down because of that. So you got children in a house and they're throwing flashbangs in. And the part about all of this is when they finally searched the house, they found out that there was nothing there. They made no arrests. It's like, well, have a good night. We destroyed your house. We've torn it apart looking for something that's not there. Too bad you guys have to figure out how to put your house back together, and to get your children some psychological help for the nightmares they're going to have for the next 6 months of people pointing guns at them. Supposedly, people on the government side that are supposed to be there to serve them instead were there to endanger their lives. Um,
Mhm.
and then certainly the ATF can't then wonder why the American people are going, you know what? We don't really need you guys. If this is what you're doing, if this is what you think your job is to go in and terrorize people and take the law and twist it all around to try to ban this and ban that, and you think we want you? We don't want you. You're not showing you're worthy of
Government agencies don't want them. That's the thing. I mean, a
no,
lot
they're
they are now. I know that a lot of people during this administration, as far as the FBI, the other alphabet soups, um, it's just wild to me. Like coming from a family of law enforcement and many of them working for the government and such growing up, nobody liked the ATF. Nobody liked them. They felt like it was just a hypocritical position to be in, especially. I mean, and this is old days. I mean, not going into
yeah.
talking about how things have changed since, um even still, I know agents that despise the ATF.
Well, and I've met some of the agents. Some of the agents in the field are decent people and good people,
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
their leadership is
So,
absolutely atrocious. And some
yeah,
of them in the field aren't very good. That's always going to be the case.
right.
Most of the sheriff's deputies that I was with when I was in the Bear County Sheriff's Department were good people, wonderful, very nice people, did their job for the public, but there were a few that but when you get into leadership, guiding everybody and saying, well, if you don't do this, you're losing your job,
Mhm.
that's a problem.
Yeah,
And not everybody can afford to tell their boss, well, I'm not going to do this, so go ahead and fire me. So it's a problem. But again, I'm not feeling sympathetic towards them and all the stuff
no,
they've done, all these attacks on our rights.
right.
And they're apparently now I just heard that now they're going to ignore this ruling that says where the arm brace was basically
Stayed.
vacated.
Right,
Vacated.
vacated.
They're ignoring it, and they're saying, "Well,
Right,
we're going to enforce it anyhow." What? Talk about renegade. Now, what is this?
right.
You know?
And one last finger. And I saw where C&T Designs and Arms said that he streamed Dettelbach's resignation ceremony. I saw something yesterday. I think it was posted a couple of days ago where they gave Dettelbach this plaque that included an 80% lower. The problem is they gave it to him in the ATF headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Washington, D.C. has outlawed, it's a felony to have or transfer an 80% lower in Washington, D.C. So two felonies were committed by two people that are supposed to be upholding the law and keeping you safe. But hey, the law doesn't apply to them, right?
Of course, apparently not.
Reminds me of
And
that legislator who she was getting rid of all of the guns in her home, so she
Uh-huh.
took her gun out back and she saw the
Saw the barrel off, yes. And
yes, I
posted it
remember
on
that.
social media, yes.
Look at me committing a felony. Ooh, isn't this cool? Yeah, great stuff.
Well, was it
Yeah.
Helmer last year or
No,
the year before?
not Helmer. No, I know what you're going with.
I forget who it was, but we were in a committee meeting and it was a thing on ghost guns, on privately made firearms, and he said that he bought this 80% lower and went over to a buddy's house and borrowed the tools and had his buddy help him mill out the receiver. And then I stood up and I said, you're admitting to several
committing a felony.
felonies here on the record. It's all being recorded because under federal law, you can't borrow or rent the tools to complete those 80% lowers, and you can't hire somebody else to do it for you or even have somebody else do it for you. If you are making a privately made firearm, you have to make it with your stuff. So,
so
and again, this is a legislator who doesn't know the law. So,
Yeah,
but
but
that never happens, right?
bad,
yeah, it was Marcus Simon. So, yeah,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Marcus Simon, a Democrat from Northern Virginia that admitted to doing a felony.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times he did two things wrong, not just one. But he wants us he wants to throw gun control at us and throw us in jail.
Right. Right.
And yet well, I think it got his attention. I think he kind of winced when we explained to him that he's admitted to doing a felony.
Right.
So, and if the government had wanted to come after him, they could have.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky for him, they didn't.
Yeah. So the other thing is closing the Office of Gun Violence Prevention.
Mm-hmm.
So
Get that
we're
out of
hoping
there.
Trump will do that, and a chance of national reciprocity. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. If they do it like they do with driver's licenses and say that a concealed handgun permit is a court issued document or is like a court issued document,
yes,
and then it's an official state document and all the other states should recognize
full
it.
faith and credit. Full faith and credit.
Full faith and credit. Right. I don't have a problem with that. But if
That would
you
be
have
good.
a federal law that just establishes national reciprocity, what Uncle Sam giveth, Uncle Sam can taketh away.
Or he can try to set standards. Yeah.
Or regulate heavily. And that's where my concern is. But then also, hopefully, on the 21st, Trump will rescind all of Biden's bad executive orders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, we've got some lawsuits headed to the Supreme Court that deal with guns. There are three of them, and the Supreme Court's deciding if they're going to hear them or not. And they're pretty important. One of them is Snope versus Brown. That's the Maryland law that bans AR-15s. So that the Supreme Court is looking at that and deciding if they're going to take that one. It's time for them to do it. They need to do this. The AR-15 it should be a slam dunk. I mean, that is the most popular rifle in America. And by their own standards, a gun that's in common use falls under the Second Amendment, period.
Mhm.
So hopefully that will go well, but we'll see. Ocean
And
State, go.
VCDL has an amicus brief where we're in an amicus brief with GOA and several other organizations on that case, by the way.
Yes, we've put some money into that as well because we think, again, it's the Fourth Circuit that said it was you could do this ban. The circuit that
Hmm.
affects Virginia. You say, oh
Hmm.
yeah, you can ban AR-15s. That's because they're sort of stacked. They were stacked by Obama and
Right.
Biden with people that hate guns. Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island. This is a standard capacity magazine ban. Anything over the number of fingers on your hands. It's too bad we don't have 20 fingers on our hands. You know, that would have at least bumped the number up considerably because it's arbitrary. Where'd they come up with the number 10? Is there some scientific research that there's some magic thing to do with 10? No.
Well, if you're
Uh,
barefoot, can you have 20?
I know. Well, some people have 11, 12 fingers. I mean, I've heard of
Uh-huh.
cases where they have an extra finger or two. So do they get
Hmm.
to have an extra round or two in their gun? I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Um, And then there's Gray versus Jennings, which deals with preliminary injunctions. Right now, a lot of times, clearly there's a law that's unconstitutional under Bruin or maybe under Heller. And this would kind of say, well, in a case like that, you should be siding with the citizens. If it looks like there's something to this, then let the injunction go through. Let's not enforce something while we wait for it to go to court. If it looks like it's unconstitutional, just knock it out at that point. Let's not make let the law stay in place while we decide if it's constitutional. Let's knock it out. So that's going to be heard by the Supreme Court. Donald Trump Jr. is looking at taking Grab a Gun, which is an online gun retailer, and going public with it, getting it funded as a public corporation on the stock market. So that's good. Again, that's online uh, gun selling. So um, that's promising. I think Donald Trump Jr. is he's a shooter. He's pro gun. How much influence he's got with his dad, I don't know. I've got my fingers crossed that again that Trump has learned his lesson from his first time through. It seems like he's certainly learned some lessons there about the swamp and not getting people in there that are not on the same page as you, and then being surprised when you get backstabbed. And I think
Yes.
he's got that lesson, and we'll see. Time will tell. Um, but we don't want any more of these red flag laws. Let's take the guns first and do due process later. No, don't want to do that anymore. And nor do we want to have things like a bump stock ban just out of thin air saying that's a machine gun when it clearly wasn't a machine gun. And the Supreme Court finally answered that question years later and said, no, it's not a machine gun. Leave it alone. So we'll see what happens, but I've got my fingers crossed. He's not a dumb man. He didn't get where he is because he's stupid. So I got my fingers crossed that he's learned his lesson and then he'll if he fulfills what he's promising on guns, that will really be very useful.
We'll see. You know.
Yep. And Krista, you want to talk one more time, real quick? We're a little after 9 here, so real quick, talk about the team leaders and what we need to do at Lobby Day and why it's important to show up at Lobby Day.
Well, it's really important to show up because, well, for one thing, we remove ignorance as an excuse, and it provides us with just one more way to hold our legislators accountable. We've had legislators make claims that, well, no, I didn't hear from any pro-gun people today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to directly refute that because I have the list of their appointment times. And I know that a VCDL team saw them, dropped off a VCDL packet, and spoke with them or their staff. And I'm able to refute that publicly and online when they make these claims that are obviously not true. So that's a really important thing for us. Second, it really does matter when we show up in person, especially in numbers. What's really cool is that when nobody else shows up because the weather's really bad, you walk through the legislative building and you'll see the sea of orange stickers everywhere. Every floor you go to, you will see somebody with a Gun Save Lives orange sticker, or you'll see a team leader wearing an orange vest. You'll see it. I mean, you'll see it everywhere. And that makes a difference. Like, that makes our legislators pay attention. It makes their staff pay attention. And if you can't talk with a legislator, it's okay to meet with their staff, and their staff will take a message, and they will, sometimes their staff is with us, even if the legislator is not. So sometimes their staff is working on them along with us. So it's really, really important for us to go and show those who support us to say thank you. For those who don't support us, we can do our best to try and educate them and help them to see that we are real people. We're normal people. We're nice people. We are not a harm to anybody, but they could harm us by keeping us from our right to keep and bear arms. And they need to hear it from us. They need to hear it from regular people, not politicians, they need to hear from us. They need to know that they are accountable and that we are paying attention, and we will be showing up at the polls in November. And so those are the important reasons why we should go. The things that we need volunteers, and there's a lot of ways to volunteer. I've talked about a few of them already. There's team leaders, but maybe you're really shy because you don't feel like you have leadership qualities, and really you don't have to have any leadership abilities to be a team leader. You're just a person who helps organize things, and you facilitate the people who show up on lobby day to have a conversation with our legislators. That's what you do. But if you're really shy about that, I always need some help organizing everybody and helping with the administrivia and the conference room during the day. I'm trying to train a new coordinator because in a couple of years, there's a good chance that I will have to move. And I may not live in Virginia anymore, and I may not be able to come on lobby day. So I'm looking to train a new team lead coordinator. And that doesn't really require a lot of leadership abilities. We're not asking you to be a good public speaker. We're just asking you to be yourself and to show up and say, hi, I'm real. I exist. I'm a nice person. Please don't put me in danger. Or, hey, I'm a sports shooter. We have a great Olympic sports shooting team, and they are going to suffer. We are going to suffer on the world stage if you take away our right to keep and bear arms so that we cannot practice our sports.
Yep. So those personal stories really make a huge difference. I mean, if you go and you talk to a committee or you talk to your senator or delegate and you say, you know, I had to leave an abusive relationship, and when I left, my ex tracked me down and beat me within an inch of my life, and I couldn't get a gun because, or I couldn't get a concealed permit, and I couldn't carry openly because, and I need to be able to protect myself and my children. Or maybe you have a business that puts you at greater risk. There's any number of reasons that people are actively defending their right to keep and bear arms. We all have our own personal stories, and sharing those personal stories makes it so that it's not just some stodgy old white guy demanding it's my right. And there's reasons behind the right, and putting it into context makes it more palatable and more human.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about 4 feet 10 inches tall, so when I show up, like, they know right away that I'm like, hi folks, I'm not going to outrun or overpower my attackers, and I have been attacked before. My right to keep and bear arms is a life and death right for me. Like, this isn't an option. This isn't a privilege. This is life and death for me. It's really important. And if you can't, protect me, if you can't let me protect myself, then I'm really not gonna support you in office. And I'm going to tell my neighbors, and I'm going to be as vocal about it as I can. because this is not okay. Like, this isn't your choice to make. You don't get to do things that are reckless. You don't get to do things that are illegal and get away with it.
Yeah.
So it's really important for us to show up and let them know, like, hey, we are not crazy people. We're not mass murderers. We're not gun nuts. We're not whatever stereotype you want to give us. We are regular, everyday people all over Virginia. We are fathers and mothers. We are sons and daughters. We are, we're neighbors, and we help each other out. And, we just want you to not do things that put us in danger.
Yeah,
Right.
and the amount of power we have when we're lobbying is helped greatly by having a big lobby day. If our lobby days start petering off to nothing, well, then they're not going to listen to us as much because they're just
Right.
not going to see that powerful force of don't touch the third rail.
And by
But
the way, that's why they passed that law that they banned guns in state buildings, was
shut
to
us down.
discourage us from showing up, because they know that a lot of people will just say, well, if I can't carry my gun there, I'm not going there.
Yeah,
But we can't back down. If we do, they won. We
yeah,
can't let that happen.
no. We were playing right into their hand if we do that. And that's what they wanted. They wanted us to be discouraged because, oh, you can't carry, we'll fix that. So that was a
Yep,
law put in place for VCDL
they
to
called it the
go after us.
VCDL bill.
They did.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. So
absolutely.
that's what we're up against, and we can't give in and can't let them win. And we
Right.
can't let, fine. Pat and I have to disarm every day when we go into the General Assembly to lobby. I don't like it. She doesn't like it. But we got to do it. We've got to win
Right.
this battle, and if that's what it takes, then. But it shouldn't be just us. It should be everybody understands that we're going to have to make a sacrifice here if we're going to get rid of this stuff. Otherwise, we could be stuck with it forever if we just all walk away and don't do anything because take our toys and go home. We can't do that.
So, and this is just one of the fronts that we're fighting this battle on. We're fighting it in the courts. We're fighting it in the legislature. We're fighting it in the court of public opinion. But no battle is won on a single front. We have to fight it on all fronts, and we have to do it diligently. And we have to do what it takes to win those battles. And if that means, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Pat.
If that means disarming temporarily to go into the building and get FaceTime with the people that are passing these laws, then that's what we have to do.
What I was jumping at, Pat, was you reminded me. We have another lawsuit that we haven't announced yet. That's now it's in motion. We've been sitting still on it. We don't pre-announce a lawsuit until it's been filed. Once it's filed and it's public, then we'll talk about it. We are suing for the gun ban in a couple places, and one of those is ABC stores, because those are clearly not a sensitive government building at all.
Right.
So we're trying to whittle back on this sensitive government locations, and the other one is carry in rest areas. We've actually got a lawsuit going on that too, because again, a rest area there's nothing sensitive about it. People come and go all through the night. There's no barbed wire fence controlling who comes in. There are no metal detectors. They don't require that you show ID and maybe be invited in. No, it's open to the public. Yeah, they got a slot for the state police if they decide to stop and use the restroom or something. But how often do you go to a rest stop and see a state trooper there keeping an eye on things? How often? Once a year I see one there doing that. Maybe that, not even that sometimes. So we got two lawsuits going, or one lawsuit, but covering those topics. So that's been filed.
Right. And you can support those lawsuits by going to vcdl.org/donate. And VCDF is now live. That's a 501c3, so contributions to that are deductible on your federal income tax. There's also the VCDL PAC, which is going to have quite a battle in November, when the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and the entire House of Delegates are coming up for re-election in November. So if you can make a contribution to the PAC that is not tax deductible, but the PAC is going to need a war chest this year to get good people in office so that we can actually get something done in the 2026 session. Otherwise, if it goes badly in 2025, we will have a repeat of what we saw in 2020 and 2021. And that's not good. As Christy said, lawsuits are expensive. We want to prevent the legislation from being passed. And the way to do that is to get active politically. So,
yeah, and these lawsuits take time too.
Yep. If you want a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, you have to participate in the government process. You can't let somebody else do it for you because they're probably not going to do what you want them to do. So, and yes, lawsuits take time. We've been fighting the one handgun a month and the private sale background check lawsuits and a couple of other things since 2020. And we're going back to court this month on the private sale background check. We thought we would have an answer 6 months ago, and they punted again. So we'll see. But anyway, do you have anything else, Philip?
I don't think I do.
The only other thing I want to mention is just real quickly, the Faster Saves Lives program. Watch the social media links. They will be coming up soon, and we'll be asking you to take a survey on how safe do you think our schools are and what should we do about it. You can visit the link that I'm putting online, which is vcdl.org/faster. And it talks about the program and what we're doing to try to make schools in Virginia safer. So I won't, you can go back and watch the broadcast from a couple of months ago where we had Jim Irvine on and went into great detail about the program. And you'll be seeing more coming up on that. But I won't keep you more because we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. So, Jill, do you have anything? We've been talking over you all night.
Now I've absorbed all the info. No, I was going to point out Faster. That's I know that's near and dear to Pat's heart, my heart. I mean, I just as a mom, as mothers, as grandmothers, as people with little babies and big kids and whatnot, whatever you want to call our youth, and we need that in Virginia. It's going back to what Phil was talking about as far as security, private security, police officers in school buildings and such. I mean, we need to be able to expand safety and security responsibilities amongst ourselves. And as I've said before, when you send your kids to school, they're in class, they're not in your care as a parent during that time frame. So our state needs to step it up. If we are sending our kids to school, and I know everybody talks about homeschool, take them out of public schools. Not everybody can afford that, but we just need to step it up. And Faster it's a brilliant program. So
yeah, the schools in Virginia have been duplicating what they did in Sandy Hook, and we saw how that turned out.
Yeah, and as a mom, I'll die on that hill, So
Sandy Hook, Parkland, all of that, let's not copy failure. Yeah. Let's copy success. There's 20 states now that have the Faster program, and not one of them have had a mass murder in their schools. And several of the people that have trained under the Faster program have actually saved lives. They weren't in the schools, but they were in situations where they came upon somebody with traumatic injuries and were able to save that person's life because of the training that they took in the Faster program. So watch for more videos. You can see what we have up there now. Go to our YouTube channel and just search for Faster. and or Faster Saves Lives, and it'll pop up some shorts and some long form videos. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time out on your Sunday and tuning in. Do all the social media things and click the buttons, ring the bells, and all of that fun stuff. Share the videos, let your friends, tell your friends to listen to it on the way to work tomorrow. And thank Christy for joining us and for being the coordinator of all the team leads again this year. She does a fabulous job. And yeah, Utah allows carry in the schools and has never had a school shooting. Yeah, that's another thing we're pushing for is concealed carry permit holders to be able to carry in our schools. Not knowing who's armed and who's not armed is one of the biggest deterrents to a mass attack that there ever was. But knowing that somebody is probably there to stop you, criminals and especially mass murderers take the path of least resistance. They go where they can create the most harm and mayhem before somebody shows up to stop them. And that somebody almost always has a gun. So it's preventative medicine. So anyway, we've kept you guys long enough, and I really appreciate you tuning in. And we will see you again next month.
Or in Richmond if you're in the area.
Or in Richmond.
Maybe in Chester.
Later this week. Oh, let me just show the map real quick. So a lot of people have asked where they can carry and watch or listen to the rally. So if you look at this map that's on your screen now, that green line is the line of freedom, and the yellow line marks the defense-free zone. The yellow square is the bell tower where we will hold the rally. So you can stand on that green line outside of the fence, and you should be able to hear the speakers there. The orange star is the corner of 9th and Bank, and between 9th and Bank and the entrance to the Capitol at 10th and Bank is where the teams will be forming. And then the blue star on your screen is the conference room where the team leaders will meet and get their supplies. So I think that's everything that was on my list.
And that's on the website, right? That map?
That is on the website, and you can find all that stuff. The web address is right on the screen there, vcdl.org/lobby day, and it has links to all the things. So, and some of it's on the main page as well, including the link to the flyer is on our main page, vcdl.org, and the link to the legislative tracking tool I got up there today as well. So we will see you at Lobby Day. Hope to see some of you at Lobby Day dinner Sunday night. And I am not sure if I'm going to be at the meeting Thursday or not, but I'm pretty sure Philip's going to be there.
Yeah.
So if you can make the meeting on Thursday night, do that. And we will say goodnight. Y'all stay safe, stay well, and I hope to see you at Lobby Day. Bye.